Welcome back to the Chasing Tone podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Max.
And today we have a couple of interesting topics. The first thing, Max, you posted a really cool thing on the Facebook page this morning.
I did.
Apparently, you're abandoning all Telecaster users and going with something different.
I am.
You're kind of doing a sacrilegious thing here.
I know, but I don't own a Telecaster, and this is the only way I can justify having one. Because let's face it, two humbuckers and a Strat looks stupid.
I'm trying to understand. Did you just say I don't want a Telecaster?
No, I said typically I don't play Telecasters, but lately I've been like, you know what? I'm getting ready to turn 30. It's time for a life change.
So is that like I'm turning old? I need a Telecaster?
I need an old guy guitar. No,
oh my god!
I typically play old guy guitars, but in saying that, I don't want the typical. I'm in a 90s rock band, right? And I'm playing a Subaru, so I need something humbuckers. I have the Pollard Smith. I need something a little more rock and roll.
Jimmy Page
played
a Telecaster.
Sure.
That didn't have humbuckers.
But he did play a Les Paul that has humbuckers.
That's true.
And I'm actually.
But you can't say Jimmy Page is not rock and roll.
No, he's the epitome of rock and roll. But the cool thing is actually the humbuckers I've already purchased are the Whole Lot of Humbucker, which they're a Seymour Duncan thing.
Really?
They're based around Jimmy Page's humbuckers.
Really?
So I'm going to drop those on that bad boy.
Huh.
And then I put the Les Paul switch on the top versus. Yep. So yeah.
So is this the body you've already purchased?
I haven't purchased a body yet. No,
okay.
My wife's given me so much money to play with for my 30th birthday. I gave her so much. She's giving me so much. And so she's like, "What do you want?" And I've been kicking ideas around. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna build a guitar. I've never really sit down and I've customized my guitars and that sort of thing. I've never actually pieced one together.
I never have either. Travis has that green Telecaster. It's green, right?
Yeah.
And that thing played freaking great, man.
I know. And
I love that one.
It's pretty much all the same parts. So we're gonna do. I think he's gonna help me out, and we're gonna build that bad boy.
So I actually have played a Telecaster with humbuckers before, and I actually do like it, but I don't know, man. Right? I have so many Telecasters now.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about this. Maybe I should actually get one with humbuckers. But
you should. You have every other Telecaster.
I don't know. I mean,
it's
kind of overboard. I have enough now that I forget about them. I'll find them in a case. I'm like, oh yeah, forgot I had this one.
You did that with an amp one time. You have a Mesa Boogie Lone Star. It was in my office in the old office building.
Right.
And you walked in, you're like, oh, I forgot about the amp. I'm like, how do you forget about this? One, it weighs a metric ton.
Right.
I'm like, how do you forget about this amplifier?
Because I hate it. I hate that amp, man. And not only is it so heavy, I just don't like the way it sounds.
It does great for pedals though. It's very flat response. And if you're testing pedals, it does a pretty good job.
Yeah, but try carrying that guy to a gig.
I actually have a funny story about that. Travis used to have, I think, the 212 version. When we first started hanging out, he played. I went to go see him play at this blues festival in Terre Haute, Indiana. And it's the walk from the stage, his huge stage, and the walk from the stage to his car was 200 yards. And I was like, yeah, I'll help you carry gear. He's like, cool, you want to grab the amp? I'm like, sure. So I pick it up, and it weighs every bit of 100 plus pounds. But at this point, I'm already committed. So I'm shaking, struggling. He's like, you all right? I'm like, I'm fine.
I'm not dropping.
I'm fine.
I can do it. I can do this.
So I walked the whole. He's like, oh, I didn't expect you to carry it all the way. He's like, I thought we could stop. I was like, no, you tell me.
And if anyone's wondering who we're talking about, Travis Feaster, who used to host Chasing Tone as well with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really cool guitar. I'm not crazy about the gold though.
It's shoreline gold. It's something different. I was thinking about Burst, or do I get
kind of looks like the Tumnus gold.
Yeah, kind of. But then again, I picked out the Tumnus gold.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense now. So you're putting a G-bender on it, right?
No, I left that option off when building a Warmoth.
3-pole bridge, or what are you doing?
I'm doing I'm doing a flat Fender bridge. It's going to have string through.
So six tailpieces or six
furrows in the back.
Yeah.
Then it'll be string through, no tremolo, just straight up rock and roll.
Kind of neck.
Actually, there's a local guy named Mel McCullough, and he'll build you one. You actually go to his shop, and then he'll carve it with you there. And be like, "How's this feel?"
So you go out and find a tree? Like a good one.
Knocks on it with a hammer, puts his ear to it. He actually you tell him what wood you want, what you want it to look like. Then you and him actually sit down and okay, this feels good, this doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
And he builds it with you there. Then once you get it right where you want it, then he finishes it and mounts it right to the body.
So we talking like maple, or are we talking?
I'll probably go maple back, and I'll probably go like a rosewood fretboard. I like darker fretboards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's not good, man.
It's gonna be cool. A cool project.
Very cool. I've never built a guitar before.
I haven't either. This is gonna be I have like I said, modified guitars. Some turned out really great. Some turned out awful. So
I actually was playing a bit this morning on my Schecter, which I'm not a big fan of that guitar, but it does what it does. But like the neck, I like the way the neck feels.
yeah.
And so I was like, I wonder what happened if I just ripped all the electronics out, put new pickups in, rewired everything, rewired it more, I don't know, probably more like a Strat. You know what I mean?
Good.
So, because it's just so dark and it just doesn't sound like a Telecaster.
Yeah. It actually sounds good. No.
No. I mean, so I've thought about that, but ever since I got that Ibanez, like that stupid RG350, man, I love the freaking Floyd Rose on it. I feel like I just like do dive bombs and hit harmonics and dive them down. I'm like, yes.
That's a cool thing about Warmoth. You can actually build your body, and you can put a Floyd Rose on a Telly if you wanted.
Oh, don't tell me that.
That's an actual option.
So let's see, G bender, B bender, Floyd
Rose.
floating Floyd Rose.
It would never stay in tune. You'd have to put a locking nut on it.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. For some reason, that Ibanez is for a cheap guitar. For some reason, I like it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So other than it's really hard for me to get used to because it is a floating bridge, and with the locking nut and everything. But so when you bend up, the bridge obviously bends, and so like the note kind of goes out of tune. So if you're doing like a unison bend, then you're actually out of tune with the song.
Everything else,
So you got to kind of pull up on the Floyd Rose to keep it. It's weird. It's weird.
I don't trust it.
But nothing gets you more looks than like doing some chicken picking stuff on an Ibanez with the Floyd Rose.
Didn't you tell me like Seymour Duncan invited you to a party? They had all these rock guitar players, and he had like just got your B bender or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And like everybody was looking at you like, one day.
Yeah, so Seymour Duncan he's actually really big into like arrowheads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we live real close to Bloomington, where the IU college is, and there's a big institute there for like arrowheads and
cool.
all that kind of stuff. And so Seymour was friends with the guy that is like a professor there. And so I didn't know this, but yeah, every year he was coming to Bloomington and just with a couple friends, they'd get to kind of put the band together and invite friends would invite their friends, and it was just kind of a
cool.
You cook out and drink a little wine or whatever, and so yeah, he found out I lived near it, and so he invited us, and I just got the G bender. They was playing kind of jazzy blues, but more bluesy type stuff, and I mean like not Stevie Ray Vaughan blues, like real old blues, right? Like, and I me, I had never heard half of this stuff before. And so I was like, it just on everything I was overusing the G bender so bad. It was terrible. Looking back on that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what a first impression.
And he never got invited back.
And that was the first and last time. No, we actually did play that. I think 2 or 3 years. I think he's kind of stopped doing that since. I don't know why, but and then one year I took, Steve Townsend, the guy that does like Pinnacle videos and stuff, and he's kind of a shredder guy, and so I took him with me, and of course, I mean he wasn't like, but I mean, still he was like hearing a shredder guy kind of play blues. You know what I mean? It's like hearing a country guy play blues or hearing a blues guy play country. It's not that it's bad. It's just different. You know what I mean?
Sticks out a little.
It's kind of like it's not like you can kind of tell when someone isn't speaking their native language because there's certain phrases that they won't say right?
There's just something's off.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. But yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. There's nothing better to do than show up to a blues gig and play G bender. So yeah, good times. So I have another question. Thread that I saw on the Tone group on Facebook, and it's from a guy named Eddie Skaggs, and he said everyone has their idea of what great tone is, and it's difficult to explain. So, what's an artist or a particular song that you consider like your quote unquote holy grail tone? What would be yours, Max?
Oh man, I probably have a few, but the two that really come to mind for me, one, probably a lot of people are gonna be like, "What?" But it's John Mayer's "Who'd You Think I Was."
No. Yes.
Yeah, the opening riff of that's what made me get that riff made me get in a tone. Before I had some nice ear and this sort of thing, but that was a riff that was like, "Holy crap!" It just blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Black Crowes. Twice as Hard.
That whole album, man.
Yeah, just like the opening riff to Twice as Hard is like, holy crap! And then he hits those big, those big chords. It's like, that's the tone.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. Yeah, that whole album is full of great tunes. Man.
It is, yeah. And like I just bought like a Super O a while back, where it's a custom craft, which is a Valco. So basically, exact same circuit as a Super O, Thunderbolt. Yeah, Thunderbolt. But with that and humbuckers and a boost pedal, you're just good to go. It just nails that tone.
Really?
So yes, I'm pretty excited about it. That's why I'm getting the Telecaster with humbuckers.
Because of that album?
Because of that album, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Like, of course, me, I kind of made a joke of it, but I was talking about George Lynch and started posting a bunch of videos from like Lynch Mob and stuff, and Jason Wilding, who works for Walker, of course, was talking about the Nuno button chord.
Sure.
And first two Extreme albums. I think they're the first two. Porno Graffiti and the one after that is what it's called. But anyways, they were great albums. Okay, I'll admit the lyrics were kind of cheesy, because you're pretty much talking about girls and girls and girls. But I mean, like Nuno's guitar work was just amazing. Plus, he was using the ADA MP1, which I love.
The greatest preamp in your opinion of all
guitar
time.
preamp of all time. So my heart's fluttering now just thinking about it.
You
actually,
go home and play yours.
I just go home and hug it sometimes. Just kind of stroke it quietly and softly and speak into its input jack, like how much I love it.
Whisper Nuno into it.
Yeah. Nuno, you're in there. Talk to me, Nuno. So I don't know, man. Yeah, that's some of my favorite tones. But that's of course rock stuff. Like I'm kind of all over the place because there's other things I like too. I mean, if Travis was Travis Feaster was talking about.
He loved Hendrix and Scott Henderson.
Scott Henderson, yeah.
Or Julian Casper's another
Julian
guy.
Casper is who I was thinking of. Yeah.
Julian has like the holy triumphant of amps. He plays a Vox, a Marshall, and a Fender at all times.
Really?
So he just has this huge wall of sound. Where's Julian a professor at? I think it's Berkeley.
I don't know, but I was listening to those videos and it's amazing.
Oh yeah, him and Scott Henderson both. I mean,
Scott Henderson's crazy.
If you want to listen to some heavy cats, those are two guys you can just sit down and be like, oh my gosh, I need to practice more.
Yeah, I don't.
In particular, Travis hit me to Scott Henderson's "Tore Down House." Oh my gosh, it's such an amazing tune. Like his licks are tasty, his pocket's incredible. The vocals, whoever he brought in to sing, is kind of something to be desired. But his guitar playing on that whole song is awesome.
There's a lot of albums like for Extreme for example. I mean, like Gary Sharon's a good singer, but I was waiting for him to stop so I could hear Nuno. Yeah. And I think like with Scott Henderson, it's kind of the same way with me on that. I mean, just like a lot of the bluesy type guys just stop singing. I want to hear guitar.
Yeah. Osnoy, he's another great guy. I actually saw the first time I ever went to NAMM. Osnoy was doing where we were at a couple years ago for NAMM. There's drums and cymbals everywhere, and then like scattered throughout. There are kind of a couple pedal builders and some amp builders. I think Bad Cat was over by us, and Osnoy and a buddy did an impromptu jam with one of the drummers like across the aisle. So like there's this huge mass of people, and I was like just right there. I'm like, hey, you look like Osnoy. And then he started playing. I'm like, it's Osnoy.
You are Osnoy.
Yeah, so that was really cool. But yeah, he's another great player.
All right, so there's yet another thread on the Tone Group that I kind of posted kind of half jokingly, and it got like 305 comments or something stupid. So I said, let's say hypothetically I've been working on a Wampler amp design. What features would you personally like to see in it? And would you prefer a combo or head cabinet? And the truth is, I mean, I'm always toying with something. And I've thought about releasing some sort of amp, like a pedal platform or something like that. So I mean, I've definitely thought about it, and there's, I don't know if I want to release something like that or not, but I can't tell you I'm in the process of building one. So, but I just want to see like if we put out an amp, what people would expect, and I kind of came to the conclusion that they want a $500-600 amp with every feature in the world,
Sure.
4 channels, hand wired, custom transformers.
Wow.
Delivered to your door for $600.
You can afford Mercury, Transformers, and everything.
It's like it's just not going to happen. Not without basically paying 30 cents to some poor little Chinese
Sure.
kid in a factory that's shouldn't
Slaving
be working.
away.
Yeah, slaving away, tied to the wall. I just don't see how a guy could do that. But I think it'd be really cool to have some sort of just a platform that like we've been using the Port City Pearl. And while I do like that, there's still some shortcomings to it that personally I would like to see. You know what I mean? I like I said, I really like that amp, so I'm not going to slam it or anything. But I've always thought if I could get like a super great clean tone and a platform that works great for all different types of pedals, with a good effects loop, and also in a perfect world have an amazing output that would do just a really good emulated amp output.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been toying with that lately.
Sweet.
So that and toying a bit more in the digital realm, believe it or not.
We had a couple of things in them that kind of started touch on the outskirts of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we've been working with for all the DIY guys, some spin stuff and some shark stuff. So with that, and that's just basically like 2 different types of chips in architecture, right?
Oh, they're not real sharks.
They're not real sharks.
So
No.
that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to build an effect with a shark.
Say, how'd you shrink one?
Magic. It's all magic. That's what makes it sound good. It's
Shrink
the
rays.
the shark inside the pedal. So, but it's kind of there's a lot of different ways you can go with digital. There's things you can do in digital you just cannot do in analog. You just can't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's kind of fun to almost be like starting over, kind of in a way.
Sure.
Because I've been doing analog stuff since 2001 now.
Yeah.
So to kind of dive into this, and I've toyed with it in the past, but to really just go head first and immerse myself into that whole culture, it's kind of cool,
Yeah, it's a new thing to geek out on.
Yeah. Yeah, so while you're geeking out on Telecasters, I'm geeking out on shark chips.
Shark Week.
So I don't know. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen, what's going to come about with all the stuff we've been working on. So another thing, Mark Williams was talking about, Mark Williams from Facebook, was talking about true bypass stuff. So his question was that since like every pedal manufacturer promotes true bypass as the quote unquote best thing since sliced bread for your signal. But he said, why are they now selling buffers to fix the tone loss that true bypass causes? And he goes on to say, some even charge $200 for a clean boost, which is just a buffer with a variable output, and they market them as a pedal you'll never want to turn off. So, and I can see how that could be confusing to a guy.
Sure.
But we kind of tell everybody that you really don't want all true bypass pedals.
Too much of anything's bad.
Yeah.
When you have too many buffers, it's bad. Too much true bypass
Right.
is bad too.
I mean, like in a perfect world, I would probably want 1 buffer, 2 at the most, probably.
Yeah, big signal.
Yeah, I mean, but like for example, what was it? I think I was looking at a Boss DS1 schematic or something the other day because I'm rewriting the DIY book. I
Sure.
don't know if I told you that. I'm halfway through.
As long as I don't have to edit it, you're good to go.
By the way, there's a new job I need you to do this weekend. I need you to
done this
edit
week.
400 pages. Can you have it done by Monday?
I'm good, but thank you. I appreciate it.
So I'm looking at the schematic, and it reminded me so in I can't remember, maybe it was the metal zone, one of the two. Anyways, it's irrelevant. What I was saying is, even when the pedal's off, there was 3 like transistor type buffers, transistor or FET type buffers in the signal path. So, and with that type of buffer, you can actually kind of lose just a tiny bit of signal. And also with any active electronic like that, you do introduce noise because you got power and stuff going on. So you do introduce more noise too. So let's say you have like 10 Boss pedals. If all of them have 3 buffers, that's like 30 buffers you have on. So you can lose. I mean, you could lose a lot of like signal integrity, I guess.
Yeah.
I think they just feels totally different when you have that many buffers on. It's just.
It does.
I mean, just things don't react the same. It just, like I said, there's noise problems. So I mean, I think you really want the balance of good true bypass pedals with a good buffer somewhere in there. And I like to run it as close to the guitar as I can.
Sure.
Do you have a preference?
No, well, I always run a Tube Screamer, which is a buffered circuit.
Couple of them.
And mine's right in the middle. I mean, if I'm running like on our show boards, I put that buffer right at the beginning, as far at the beginning as I can. Sometimes you can't put the buffer obviously in front of like a wah, like some of the older wahs, some of the older fuzzes.
Right.
The Velvet Fuzz you can.
Velvet you can, yeah.
Yeah. But I try to, if I'm building a show board, I try to put one there. I don't run a dedicated buffer on my board just because I have that Tube Screamer, and it's enough for me. I run one actual Tube Screamer now, and the Clarksdale, which is true bypass. So that one buffer does everything I need it to.
Right. Yeah, and I actually recommend a lot of times the same thing. When someone's having problems, I would say, do you have a Boss pedal?
Yeah, do you have a Boss tuner?
Yeah. If yes or no, put it in your signal chain. Yeah. See, and the biggest thing I hear is that guys that play the Ego compressor.
Yeah.
And they may have 4 or 5, maybe even just 4 or 5 pedals, but they're all true bypass. And of course, a 15-foot cable to it, 15 cable back to the amp, and they're asking, why is this pedal so bright when I turn it on? Yeah, and it's like, it's not. It's, I actually had that question this week. A guy asked me that very question. He said, why is my compressor so bright? And can you make it, neutral sounding? Can you make it less bright? And so I was troubleshooting with him, and come to find out he had like 2 20-foot cords and several true bypass pedals. And so I told him, I said, just put a Boss in there, see if it does it. And so he actually did try that. And he said, oh, yeah, that pedal's bright too. So how can you fix this compressor? Yeah. And so I said, you're misunderstanding me. The problem is not that the pedal's bright. The problem is that you're losing high end because of all that true bypass stuff and all the cabling with no buffer.
Exactly.
It's you might as well just might as well roll off the tone on your guitar.
We do that with our show board, just on the board alone, not including anything else. I think we have like 67.5 feet of cable. Or maybe that's including the leads. I don't remember. But anyways, it's a crap load of cable. If you don't run a buffer with that, it just sounds like somebody put a blanket on your amp.
It really,
it's just...
Yeah, it really does. You lose so much hot end. It's just all bottom.
It's terrible, but it's amazing. But it's a great demonstration of what a buffer can do. So when I show, I'll click that buffer on, and people are like, oh, mind's blown.
Right.
So...
Yep, you're exactly right. And I'm I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I thought like most people would have like a tuner or something that was. But I guess now there's a lot of true bypass tuners.
Yeah. TC, I think their tuner does both.
Is it? You can
make a buffer or you can make a true bypass.
Really? That's cool. Oh, I'm gonna have to steal that when we come out with our tuner. I'm gonna call ours the BC though. BC Electronic tuner.
BC Electronic.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Sure, they won't get mad.
It's called the CT, the chasing tone.
Yeah, there you go. The CT Electronic tuner. Yep.
No, I'm just kidding, DC. I really love your pedals. I still have a bunch on my board.
Yeah, those guys are real good anyways.
Oh, those guys are awesome.
All right, so we're going to hop out of here for the week. Is anything interesting going on in your world before we hop off?
No, I'm good, man.
Nothing? You have nothing? Nope. Just sit here and work and talk on the phone.
That's pretty much me.
I just answer the emails all day long.
Yep, and phone calls from lots of great guys. That's a great customer. 100%. Well, 100%. 99% of everybody that calls in are just incredible people. You get that 1%, that one guy just his life's unhappy. So he has to make everybody else's life unhappy. It's like, oh man.
It's like the same thing with YouTube. It's like the guy's like, I hate you and you suck. You're like, I just gave you a free video. All you gotta do is click off of it. You don't I'm not making you watch it. You don't have to hate me because of it.
In fairness, he hates everything. It's not just a video. He hates his computer. He hates his life, his mom's basement. He hates all that.
Just some people, I've said it before, some people you could give them $100 bill and they would complain because it's dirty.
Yep, exactly.
And luckily, we don't have too many people like that.
No, like I said, 99% of our customer base, and not to float your guys' boat, but really is great. And it really is honestly great. I get a lot of great phone calls every day. I mean, I truly do. Then you get that 1% that don't know how to change a battery.
Right.
Or they
We're surprised
you.
that there is a battery in it.
Yeah, or they hate you because they just want to hate something. Something and they just happen to be talking to you.
Why did you let the battery die in this thing?
Whatever.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes. So all right, so that's the show for this week. If you could do us a huge favor to help out a bunch, just go to the iTunes store and leave a good review. If you have a bad review, don't leave that though.
Yeah, if you're that 1% of the people, don't say anything.
Just good reviews. And it actually does help us to get out to more people. It helps us to, it's kind of like an ego thing. We like seeing all those stars. It feels good to know that you can put out something free and people like it.
They like us.
You know? So, if you can do that, if you have any questions, shoot an email to podcast@wamplerpiddles.com. And we'll see you next week. Actually, we won't see you. We'll talk to you next week.